I wonder why we're in West Seattle. Like, why are we in this particular environment while we train and become, go through this chapter of initiation in our spirithood and our humanhood? And it's just like, it's kind of this interesting, like, Seattle, like, pocket. There's life happening here, but it's all kind of, it's hiding. We're not in the Ecovillage yet. We're not in the Jedi training, Avatar training space.
This is kind of the space between. This place is, we are in a valley, quite literally, geographically.
Yeah.
There's like what seems like some olderish family homes.
Yeah.
There's some kind of like run down spots.
Yeah.
There's some vagrants, and then you have like townhomes like this over here.
Yeah, like
where there's just like things being built. So it's a lot of like transitional space, transitional
energy.
Yeah. Where would you want to be? What does that look like? Do you have a solidified version
I definitely do.
Yeah, what does it look like? Tell me.
Yeah, I'm imagining all of us, like, we wake up in the morning, we're jumping in the river, we're jumping in like a lake or something like that, and we're like...
River or lake?
River, I think river means like there's good energy movement.
Yeah. I'm more river.
Yeah, I think along the side of the river, we've made like a little wood-fired hot tub that just like, you know what I mean, like heats it up.
So a wood-fired hot tub?
Yeah, or even better, compost fired. We have a compost that's actually the heat from the compost is generating continual heat that we run through a coil into the hot tub adjacent to the river. And it's showing how we can like be more circularly connected to our environment. Anyhow, that's like a finer detail. So to answer your question, I've had a lot of it visualized. But I do imagine
what space in the US is this? Okay.
I'm kind of open to that. It's like it just has to be gorgeous, and it can be far away from things. It can be far away from things. It's just because we're bringing this really potent vibration to the space. We're kind of creating the thing that's going on there. Ideally, it's nearby to like a township that has some like existing conscious energy happening.
How many people are in this space?
I think you don't start it off too big, because we've already learned from this space in West Seattle, that there's like a lot to just getting by with like a dozen people, let alone 100.
Fact.
So I think the way that it expands is important, like having really solid like ritual and connection and energy to then like expand it, like at each person invite one new person over a period of time, every 6 months or something. Cohorts maybe.
What's the goal of the community?
The goal of the community, the one that
if there was like a mission statement.
Okay, there's a few things. We're like holding embodiment like we are right now. We're on the path of that. Also in our imperfection but definite goal oriented, like we're going to confront our conflicts together in a really like open and a fashion that acknowledges that each of us are here with a mission way bigger than us individually. This is about the rising of a prophecy on Earth right now, and that means getting over our own egos in the process, but also honoring our feelings as they arise. So I think that we create rituals for conflict resolution, all these things. We film all of it. Not everyone's gonna want that. Some people are gonna be, fuck no. So I'm talking to the ones that are down to do this thing of like, you feel your integrity so deeply and you're on the path to be in complete integrity with your words, with your actions, with all of it, that it wouldn't matter if one person saw what you did right now or a million. So that is the deep dive I'm imagining. So there's like we're living maybe where it's spacious, where we have enough space to actually create a fully circular, regenerative experience, regenerative agriculture, as well as permaculture.
What are the age ranges of the people living in this space?
I think multi-generational.
Yeah.
For sure, we need eldership.
What do you think is like the delineation of individual pockets of people within the community, because I'm thinking like
Everyone has to have their own space.
Yeah.
There cannot be one. What we've learned here.
not one house, it's several.
Not one house. Okay, we've learned from.
Okay, cool. In my mind, I was like, I want my own house, though. If this is this is where we're going.
Tiny houses like scattered across a large magical landscape.
Tiny is a relative term, correct?
Yeah, a relative
Okay,
term.
cool.
I mean, by that I mean, something around less than 500 square feet per person. 500-ish. Have you looked at a 500 square foot space with a loft? It's awesome.
Okay, we'll see. What's the A-frame that you got?
I'm not gonna like project a number onto it. Actually, that's not fair. I think all of it needs to be determined by that group of people.
That's fair.
It has to be that group of people. But the main thing is there's a central gathering space, a hub. And I imagine domes that have like rope swings hanging from them, like co-working space, a big barn that's been converted into like a space that can be a dance floor sometimes, or a big a big kitchen, lots of big meals. A space for, I would love to have a space that is a lab. And this is the creation zone. And this is where like we have 3D printers. This is where we have CNC routing machines. We have anything that you would need. We have microscopy. We have like laser etchers. We have things to develop new products that have never been developed. And we have, people there that can build and launch websites. We can launch crowdfunding campaigns like people have. We have the dynamo of like humans that can actually collectively produce and scale new innovation that is going to have positive social and ecological benefit for the entire world. And with that, we're not, I see so much of the community is like, oh, let's build a healing retreat. Like totally, it can sometimes have like these gatherings like that, but I think what I'm envisioning personally is like, I want to be like with people who are creators and also and innovators, but also living in their heart.
Yeah, like the integrative healing space for sure, but I do believe that there is a fixation on healing all the time, and then not going and pursuing and following upon action and like things that you have autonomy to go create and agency to like fulfill what your mission is. It's like, but I need to do more healing. It's like you can also take strides down the path of where you want to go while you're healing. Like, maybe you need some time, but like, it doesn't have to be like one or the other. They're not mutually exclusive.
Mutually exclusive, right.
I think that's kind of a trap in the spiritual realm, or of spiritually minded folk, where it's like, I need to do more healing. I need to focus only on my healing. It's like, but your healing will actually be like settled into you when you make yourself new. Like if the making of yourself new requires repetition and taking action in becoming the person you want to be, which means going and following and pursuing that thing and going and doing it.
Right.
Heal, yes, do the sacred ceremonies, do the Reiki, do all the things you need, but then also devise an intuitive, actionable plan, commit to your heart that you're going to do it, and then do it. And then stay doing it.
That's what I'm saying. If we have the collective that is able to like hold, like there's people that are in their gift to be operational, like your brother, for instance.
For sure.
Right? Like that's a space where if we have like the right complementing, and this is like a human design question.
Sure.
This is not only like skill set interlock, but human design resonance.
I would also say
there in that collective of initial seed beings, and that's I'm just going all the way with my wish here because you asked.
And then there's ways in which we hold each other accountable through connection space, like my brother and I were talking about. Developing greater ties amongst the family. It's like, how can we share our gifts with each other in ways that bring them to their further part of their mission? That way, like Richard's been helping me with more of that process oriented space where it's like, hey, this is what I'm gonna have done at the end of the week. It's only like 2 things. And my sister, she's been wanting to build out her ability to be strong in her body. So I've developed these programs like, I want you to send me videos back. With my little brother, he's working on all these web tech things that he's learning. It's like, okay, tell me what you've done this week. And so you're checking in so that you're not isolated in your own little home, like, oh, I'm all alone doing my own thing out here. It's like when everyone knows what you're doing and they can check in with you about how it's going.
See, that's why living in that kind of like co-creatorship community is going to have so much interlocking support. Everything we're doing individually will scale up faster. You know, I think that's the value of being in community. And the tough part, the tough part can be, hey Smokey, the tough part can be like just being in confined spaces. Here we are returning to the Temple Forest house, which is, you know, 6 people living in close quarters.
Fact.
And yeah, I mean, let's just be honest about what that's like, right?
Yeah, it can be, everyone works on different time scales, you know, and different speeds of operation.
Yeah.
And everyone has their preferred way of how things are in order or not.
Yeah.
And, you know, there is the idea of creating this collective cohesiveness. And then there's also the understanding that, like, not everyone's going to change and shift for you. Their patterns are going to be their patterns, and it's not our job. It's just sort of be like, okay, well, what are my non-negotiables? What are my negotiables? How do I voice in a kind way what I need? And how, from a place of like open curiosity, can I keep checking in with these people so I can see them as human and not get into any judgmental space, and through that, like, develop deeper connection and holding each other in a way that we can keep expanding everyone in the household on their mission that they want to be doing.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. This is it. This is it. This is the thing that our whole generation seems to be, not our whole generation, but those of you who are seeing this and like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm wishing for too. Like, yeah, I think a lot of us are calling it in. I think Gaia, the planet, herself, himself, whatever you want to, not to genderize our planet, but like that being is trying to birth something. And we seem to be being pinged by something that wants to come through. It's like it's the new way that living can be. And it's not this like 9 to 5 in the grind because no pain, no gain kind of vibe for your whole life till you're burnt out and like thrown away. We know that that's not real abundance. We know that there's something better, but we haven't quite like lived and breathed that new blueprint. So it's trying to discover itself.
Yeah, it's like go and do, check in and share. Like balancing between those spaces, and then know that there are times where you will have to go on your own mission for a while, and there will be times where you'll be introduced to people that are like meant to be in the spaceship with you, going and taking you far, and knowing also that like those times will diverge and it will converge at spaces that you can't really hold on to. Like they will happen when they happen, as long as you are true to what you know your mission is. Like, and just like staying the course, but then letting people know, staying the course and letting people know. That's been the hardest thing for me. Like the letting people know part is like, I will just stay on the mission, but you stay on the mission enough that you blind yourself from the other aspects that your heart actually needs, that your relational body actually needs. And it's only until you start sharing and listening to other people's stories that you're like, oh, that. Okay, this is why I expand back into community and then return to mission with a greater perspective.
This is it. And this is why calling in that, like, I don't want to live in a neighborhood like this where I'm isolated from all the people. That's why where we started this is like we're walking around this neighborhood, and I know this brother here. Like we're Avatar Jedis in the, like thrown together by spirit right now. Like it was a trip that you wound up here. You know, Benjamin and I have been running into each other for I guess at least the last year, and just one of those like.
Now I live here.
yeah, I know, but like the energetics of each interaction before that was like, whoa, I know you. Yeah, we know each other like from something, somewhere. And I know there's probably a lot of you out there feeling that right and left, right? You're finding these people that are probably showing up for you in this way around town or whatever it is in the world that you're like, oh my gosh, that's the heart resonance. I want to be around really strong-hearted, strong-willed, but like humble, intentional beings, and like come together with it, you know, in some way that interlocks beautifully. Because if you're around people that can see you in your super gift, then it's easier to become that. You're not getting the like that inner critic is able to like kind of like subside, and then you feel strength in being a virtuous, strong human that is like worthy of living in heaven on earth and being. You know, I think our community uses the term like be a king or a queen, and of course there's a lot of like colonial associations with that, but in the true form of that, right? Like
Yeah, it's a
full
practice
embodiment.
of being yourself. Like it's getting the repetitions of like, you know, not family or the place you grew up with diluted versions. Like, oh, this is how I know you as. It's more like, oh, I see you as all of who you are.
Yeah.
Go continue being that way. And the more you can stay in that, the more your mind goes, oh, that's right. That's how I am. My shadow can be integrated and isn't, you know, related to me as 16-year-old me or me as 24-year-old me or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is just me out of the bounds of what our timeline and our mind thinks that we are.
Exactly.
Just being full of yourself.
Yeah,
Doing your thing.
Yeah, full on. Be yourself and being around those who like support and love you being yourself. And that's like the greatest, like from that place, I think we can build anything. I think the magic happens there. So like I see myself, I call in living among those who I feel like be celebrated by being in my fullest gift, and that I celebrate them being in their fullest gift, like humble but bold all the way, and we're able to be that way together. And that's one of the reasons like it was so refreshing when you moved in, Benjamin, because I'm like, you are a big being, not just physically but energetically. Like you show up so strong and beautifully, powerfully, wisely, and playfully.
Thank you.
And so being like, I think for me, like there's times where I can see my own big being self, my lion-hearted resonance, and I have had to shrink it a number of times or feel like I should in order to accommodate others. And I think sometimes that's the right thing to do, especially like to be in touch with our feminine energy. Like, and I know that's like something that is a dynamic that's always something I want to like stay in touch with deeply, but to get to be expansive, to get to be creative, to get to be powerful, embodied. Like it's time for us to not play small.
Mm-mm.
This is the time, like look around at the world. It's not going to change itself. Like it's time for us to be powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for us to command resource. It's time for us to command will and intelligence and heartfulness. And I mean, of course, through humility. I don't mean this in some cocky form. Like that's a lonely, insecure place to be. Not that, but definitely within a heart resonance that is heavenly and supportive.
Yeah. Build it and put it out there. Speaking of which, it's time for me to build out those last few videos
Okay.
and put it out there.
Okay. I support you, brother.
My guy.
My guy. Yeah. All right, back to it.
Signing off.
Signing off. Mwah.